This is the design of the model that represents the state stability. It is divided, mainly it is a big square which represents the country itself, and in our case it is Egypt, and we have in the middle here the circle of state stability. If this dot, which spots the situation of the country, reach it here, this means that this state is in state stability. To reach this circle, it needs to fulfill the values of the PPM, which is the legal values, the democratic values, and the economical values. The corners is the instability corners. So if we find here, this is the high hierarchy, this is the control of the hierarchy governance. We find here it is the dictatorship state. This is where the Mubarak regime before the revolution started to transfer from here to here. Here is the confrontation state where we have strong network governance and we have strong hierarchical governance, and they are looking to compete with each other. So in the first case, there is tendency to state control. In the second state, there is tendency to revolution, because it is the governance structure against governance structure. In below corner, we find the anarchy states corner, where it is a high network and there is a weak state control. There is no state control. Okay, and this network starting to compete against others and starting to use different means, even violence means. Currently in Egypt, we started to have different groups like Black Bloc, Ultras, and different groups who are willing to use even power and are willing to use weapons against the army or the police to enforce their objectives. So this is considered a direction to go into this anarchy state, because there is no real role of the law. Here the legal values are very weak. Maybe you have some democratic values, but the legal values is not used enough here. In the failed state, there is no control, either through networks or either hierarchy, so it is where we can call it the failed state. These can happen on countries after war, like Iraq or Germany in the Second World War, and normally this doesn't take a long time, because the occupying country or the United Nations will try to take a role to build state control in this region. So we see this before the revolution. Egypt was here, transferred in the revolution here. After the revolution, we started to go here. We are going from this confrontation because Mubarak regime fell down and started to go here. Ideally, we see that if it was going to follow these steps, it will be in the direction going to state stability. So the first step, we were here during the Egyptian revolution in the 25th of Jan 2011. We started to go out of the confrontation corner in the constitutional referendum and accepting the constitutional referendum. Then we went out of this confrontation when we went to the parliamentary election in October 2011. Hopefully in the presidential election in April 2012, if it is accepted and going and are fulfilling the values that we agreed on, then we are going to continue until we reach the state stability. If you follow this step with no deviation on balancing these values, and the presidential election allowed to produce a governance system that respects the non-governance states and can balance between the three values we're looking for, then to the state stability. We find this is what we see is the actual picture now. Not sure, is a big deviation or not? Okay. So we were here, okay, we transferred in the constitutional referendums, then we went to the parliamentary election. Ironically, in April 2012, okay, we went to dissolve the parliament. So we made the step and we get back. We cancel the step. And then we went to the presidential election without a parliament. So we have one of the main authority in the state was not working, and we went to the presidential election. So you see there is a shift from this corner toward this corner. Currently we had another amendment of the presidential current President Morsi representing the Muslim Brotherhood, which make a new power to the president. So I took from you power after the revolution to make sure there is no corruption. Now, end of 2012, I make a new constitution amendment saying that I have this power back. So we went a confrontation between opposition and the current ruling regime representing the Brotherhood. So we are starting to have here a control of networks against each other, not the state control. The role of the state now is becoming more weak. So if we have the police now, the police is not able to enforce law. Most of the department of the government have troubles or corruption, so they are not able to enforce the law. So the legal values here are much depreciated. The democratic value is not really equally developed, and of course there is no economic values at all, which is representing our economical situation. Ironically, if Egypt continue like this, we'll go for the anarchy state. There is another scenario, which we have some rumors now that there will be some kind of a military action. If this military action happens to take over the state control again, then we'll go from here to here. Okay? Not sure if Egypt will be able to go to the circle of state stability. This can happen only if this military action can make a proper balance between the three values we spoke about again. So any government structure will not make this proper balance, will be hardly able to go to state stability unless it will use excessive control, using power against civilians and so on, like what's happening in Syria. So that the conditions that we are seeing now according to the circle of state stability model.